My name's Joe Tseng. Welcome to my car lounge. I've been a member of FCA for about 18 years. Checkered Flag 200 member, going into 7th year. This space was actually interesting. This is actually was abandoned space from the golf course. We are looking for a spot that we can park all the cars I love together. And at the same time, we wanted to be a little bit hideaway, so not many people know about it. Our broker was able to find the spot. Then we decided to turn this so-called abandoned space into our private car lounge. The two Ferraris I have are the 512 BBI Boxer, and that's my really first Ferrari I bought when I was in my 20s, and I have it for over 18 years. The car it's a 4.9 liter, 335 horsepower, 5-speed. It drives it drives like a classic Ferrari, and I really enjoy the torque and the driving experience. Little things like going to gear 1 and then immediately skipping 2, going to gear 3, because the gears are not warmed up. The little classic Ferrari tricks all applied on this car. That's my first Ferrari. The second Ferrari I have is it's actually my wife's Ferrari. It's a Ferrari FF, and that's about 650 horsepower. It's a 4-wheel drive, 6.3 liter V12. So my wife told me that when my son goes to college, she wanted a sports car. So we started to look, and this one seems like it fits the boxes because it has the hatchback and you can store a lot of wine in the back. And that being said, it was just a very easy driving Ferrari. It's not, to me, it drives like a Mercedes. It's such a great, pleasant car to go on GT. So we use that car going on Paso Robles rallies, and we'll go to Santa Barbara rally. So it's a great Ferrari for us. First one I want to really to share with you is my Lotus Esprit. It's not a high value car, but it's a car when I watched the Bond movie when I was little, it really stood out. I did not know that the car can go underwater, and that's one of the car that grasped me, and I was really attracted to this wedge shape of the car. So it impacted me. So when I was looking for one, I wanted one that's already completely done. So the Lotus Esprit S1, which this one is, it's not a big engine. It's only a 2-liter engine, about 160 horsepower. I think they only made about 718. This is one of a few that was last made. The car drives like a go-kart. It's very zippy because the lightweight engine, and that's the concept. It's not the best build quality, but it's one of a car I had the most fun driving in. I often drove on Angel Crest Highway and drove it to local car shows. The car was fully restored by a doctor in England. I bought it when he called me and said, "Joe, I had it enough." And so I bought it from him, but the car was already done. I did about 3,000 miles on the car, but the shape of the wedge car, I believe this is one of the early wedge designed by Giugiaro. And I like to continue that path to look for more wedge car. And you see my other cars, they are wedge related. The 2003 Vanquish, Aston Martin Vanquish. This is the last hand-built car, 2003 V12, 5.9 liter, in-column design, classic shape, 460 horsepower. It was kind of my extension of the Lotus Esprit in the Bond films that really caught my attention. I still think this is probably one of the most gorgeous modern classic cars. The V12 allowed you to experience the power, the 460 horsepower consistently anytime you want it. And it's again, this to me, I don't buy car for value, but this car to me was just completely undervalued, and I really enjoy driving in the long distance rallies. Very reliable car. Now there's, you asked me about the paddles. This is first generation paddle shift. It's not your like FF where it was so-called double clutch, which you do not feel any lag time. But I kind of treat it as a respect of, when I go into my classic car on the first gear, I had to wait for that ramp up time, the lag time, and then on this one. So the first generation paddle has the same personality and character. So I'm used to it, so I don't mind it. They are this group called the Young Timers, and so I purchased this Sprint Speciale Zagato, Alfa Romeo. I bought the coupe first. Coupe about 1,036 made, and their V6 about 2,700 pounds, 210 horsepower. And the interesting part about the coupe is that this car was actually designed by Alfa and then built by Zagato. A lot of car was the reverse. It was designed by Zagato and built by Alfa. So till today, this must be one of the rare design, and it certainly stands out. It's a love and hate. People love it, people hate it. I just happen to love this car. It drives like sports car, much lighter, zippy way. So I bought the coupe first. Then I think this was a number 4 coupe came into the state because of 30-year car rules. And an opportunity came up to buy a convertible, which I didn't know much about. And that convertible is a little bit heavier. It's 3,000 pounds, same engine, same horsepower. It's about 278 cars built. This is maybe the only one in the States. Car came from Japan, museum. It was a 9,000-mile car. When you really look into this car, there was so many inconvenient stuff was built in this car. It was hard to put the top up. It was hard to understand what each button does compared to the coupe. But it does make it really a quirky car to own. And I enjoy owning quirky car, and this is probably one of my favorite convertible. It gets a lot of attention, but the coupe still drives, in my opinion, more sporty than the convertible. Convertible is a great weekend around the town car. It gets a lot of conversation started. But when you look at the design, if you look at the front light design, you still see Bugatti modern design has a similarity. So a lot of way when I look at design, modern design and the classic design and the so-called 80s and 90s design, I'll see a lot of theme being carried through. And this is one of those cars that definitely stands out for what we call young timers collectibles. Now, just keep in mind, during this time, Zagato, the coach builder, was having a difficult time building these cars. So the car on the coupe looks like there's a hatchback, but in fact, it's not a hatchback. Matter of fact, the storage space is very small, and it has a wheel on it. So the storage on the coupe is very minimum. On the surface, there's a lot of factory imperfections, only because they were going through difficult times, and many vendors was not pay. So there were, so you have a variations of qualities of paint coming in. So a lot of so-called buyer, the first thing they ask is, does it have a bubble? Does it have those so-called factory bubble? And these are bubbles that is considered factory, but they're not well painted. And then so we're always trying to look for a clean car. In this case, my car has some bubbles on the coupe. I have no bubbles on the convertible. So Doug did a review on this car. And Doug is a super efficient person. So he came to the part, he asked me, Joe, do you know how to put the top up? And I said, you know what, I never done it. But there's a manual, let's figure it out. So we took the manual, it's all in Italian, completely confusing. So he actually sat there and called his friend, and he went page by page and he figured it out. So when I try to put my top up, I have to watch Doug's review to actually understand how to put the top up. Back in 70s, when I was doing study design in school, Gandini designs always intrigued me. I mean, he had done so many amazing cars, Lancia Stratos, the Countach, the Mira. So I was always intrigued by his ideas and how one person's idea was able to jump through Alfa Romeo, Maseratis, and Lamborghinis. That being said, I have 3 Gandini cars here. The first one's a Lamborghini Harama, and this is a green with 10 interior, 72 model, 400 GT, 177 was built, and this is car number 115. It's V12 Lamborghini engine, 350 horsepower. Now this is back in 70s, so it's considered a lot of horsepower. 5-speed manual transmission. This particular car has won the San Marino Motor Classic, second in place. The car drives like a GT. It's a little bit heavier. It's not your so-called generic Lamborghini because it's such a rare shape. And I really appreciate when the Lamborghini is trying to figure out what they're doing, and they're trying to see where the market is. So they'll often build these fillers, and that is completely unique. But mostly importantly, they allow one vision design cars, and they'll just go ahead and build it. And so they have come out so-called amazing Mira design, and I like these odd so-called ugly sister cars, and I just enjoy these designs as well. Things were built freely, things may not make any sense, but they were just builder wanted to build, so they built unreasonable cars. So that's my Gandini car 1. Car 2 is my Alfa Romeo, the orange car, which is the Montreal. So Montreal, it's also Gandini design. It's also in 72, so you can see where he's has influence on the design. And the front lights are actually function the same, although they're completely different manufacturer. 200 horsepower, V8, 5-speed, has a short shift, so it's like click, 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 click. So this car was bought intent to restore, and so I bought it from a doctor in Santa Barbara. This is part of his estate. He has 12 Alfa Romeo. I bought this one through the collector. And I told him that, listen, you know, when I buy the car, I'll do a full restoration on it. So I always want to do a complete restoration on a car, and this car took me about 3 years. And the result of it was that the car has won 2021 Quail Best in Class, which is 50th anniversary for Montreal. It was also in 2016 Playboy magazine. I was there at the photo shoot just to make sure the car is okay, and the car was okay. Car number 3, this is my 1977 Gandini design Maserati Khamsin. Khamsin is a very interesting car. This car has a Weber 5-speed, 421 made. This is car number 155, 320 horsepower. Now the car won the Art Center Design Award, but this was during, other than the Gandini design, this is also the time that when Maserati was owned by Citroën. So when you actually look at the engine compartment, you see a lot of hydraulics, Citroën hydraulics involved. So when I get the car service, I will take it to Citroën guys for the green fluid. Then I'll take to the Italian so-called service shop for all the engine service. So I have to be cautious and look for what color of fluid is coming out from the car. But once the car's running correctly, it's an amazing GT car. Now, this is the same era as your Ferrari Daytona. From design perspective and the driving perspective, I still prefer Khamsin. To close, I just want to share. I really enjoy these cars. I looked at them as piece of art. I don't. By the way, I don't buy car on the so-called value. I buy car because I like them. So it's not a value thing because this is not an investment. You know, this is all. This for me is always personal. Buy what you like. It's kind of like the little matchboxes. I'm not there to buy other people's matchbox. I'm buying my matchboxes. These are the cars that I really want. So I can care less about the value. If they go up and down, it's not my priority. So but there are people buying for investment purpose. You know, not to discount anything in that world, but I just don't do it that way. It's a personal thing. Buy what works for me and build what works for me. It's you know my idea of building the cars I love.